Chaos.radio. Music, podcasts, entertainment.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of NEWSWAVE, written, produced and recorded in the heart of Cornwall by the team here at Chaos Radio. I'm your host Tom Howe and I'll be guiding you through some of the insightful guests and exciting news content that we've enjoyed across Chaos Radio this past week. Now on today's show we join local artist Jane Southern to learn more about her exhibition How Painting Changed My Life and the remarkable personal journey behind her incredible works. As St Austell and Penzance get ready to launch the brand new physical activity game Beat the Street, we catch up with Tim Marrion from Active Cornwall to explain what it's all about and how to join in. As well as that, we take a trip to St Austell Table Tennis Club to meet Amanda Leonard from Table Tennis England, covering their unique Learning Disability Ultra League and their part in an ambitious national project. And finally, we hear from John Yelland of Mad Hatter Sports, who drops in to share what the team has planned for its action-packed 2026 season of sporting challenges.
NEWSWAVE.
But first this week, Chaos Radio arts correspondent Kathy Davies is joined by local artist Jane Southern to discuss her exhibition How Painting Changed My Life, which is currently on display at the National Maritime Museum in Falmouth. Jane shares the powerful personal story behind her creative journey and how painting helped her recover from an extremely difficult period in her life. Here's Kathy then in conversation with Jane, who answers first what inspired her to share such a personal journey in public.
NEWSWAVE.
I never expected to be asked to do it. I mean, I didn't set off thinking, I'm going to do an exhibition and tell people my story. I started off because a friend of my husband, actually, he suggested I took it up because he knew I'd been through several very life-changing and actually very traumatic events. The result was I was in a very, very difficult situation which I didn't know how to deal with, how to get out of, and I actually had a quite serious mental breakdown over it.
Jane, bless you.
And it was bad. I mean, I actually had fits, and it wasn't just like perhaps being depressed. It was just like it felt like my brain cracked in two, and I started shouting in actual pain.
Jane, bless you.
It was very bad. And it was a result of losing my family, my dad dying. I had sepsis while he was dying and almost died before him. And then I found myself in an impossible to solve legal situation, which I never expected to happen when I moved down to Cornwall. And unfortunately, it went on for about 2.5 years. And
Jane, bless you.
Eventually I won. I came out the other side, but it put me through a lot of stress. So that was the background to, me sort of being in trouble, really. And
no, I can totally relate to this, Jane, because I work as a professional artist and have an art school. I teach the younger generation as well in my art school. But I totally can relate to you because I lost my parents and they were quite young at relatively the same time. And when I sort of went in to be a professional artist, the grief I felt deeply throughout my whole body, and I used that as kind of my fuel to my fire. So I salute you, Jane. You're incredible for how you've turned that emotional journey into something so positive and inspiring. It touches my heart. I was really nervous today about interviewing you because I just thought you're my kind of person, and I would talk about you to the youngsters I teach because you're an inspiration, Jane, and I'm honoured, absolutely honoured to talk to you today. And I've got another question. So you began painting 5 years ago, which shocks me because I just think you're awesome. And during that, you described a very difficult period in your life. Can you talk us through the very beginning, like what got you into art? What was the initial catalyst to go, oh, I'm going to have to start drawing and painting and creating?
Oh no, it didn't happen like that. I came back to Dorset, where I'm from a particularly difficult situation in Cornwall. I'd been to lawyers finally, so I was seeking professional help finally. Taken a long time to get to that place, but I turned to lawyers, and I got back to Dorset, and this friend of ours turned up, a guy called Bernard. He's very quiet, quite shy. He often not used to drop it, well, he still does, for a cup of tea. And he said, oh, how did you get on? And I told him what had happened. And he just looked at me. He said, I don't know how you're coping, Jane. I just wouldn't know what to do. And I said, I'm not coping, Bernard. I said, it's serious. I just don't know what to do. And he said, He said, have you ever tried to paint? And I said, no. And he said, He said, well, I think you'd be quite good at it. You're a very good photographer. You take lovely photographs, which is nice of him. I do like photography. My father's last parting gift to me was a very good camera. And my dad was dying, and he took me to the camera shop and bought it for me, and I was crying because I knew he was dying.
Bless you.
Yeah, he was 98. I mean, he was really old, but he had all his marbles, but he was dying of a horrible cancer, and that was one of his last acts of kindness to me. It was very touching. Anyway, so Bernard sort of suggested that I'd be good at it. And I said, oh, no, Bernard, I've never drawn, I've never painted, I couldn't possibly do that. And he said, I paint, don't you? And I said, yes, I did. I knew he went to some sort of art group once a week. And he said, I used to like photography. And then one day I started painting, and I found it so much more immersive. Like when you take a photograph, no matter how much you put into all the technical stuff or the composition, you just click at the end of the day. Whereas it says a painting evolves. And he said, I found painting really helpful in my life, and I think you ought to give it a go. And I said, I'm not so sure about that. And he said, why don't I come over on Friday afternoon with my paints and we'll have a go at one of your photographs? And because he was being kind, as opposed to horrible, a situation that was things, I said, okay. And he came over with his paints, and he sat opposite me, and I can't say he was a very good teacher. I said, well, what do I do? And he said, well, here's a tear-off palette, and here's some paints. And I said, well, what do I do? And he said, well, you've got to mix them. It was very basic. So I started. I chose a favourite photograph that I'd taken down here in Cornwall, and sort of 3 hours later, I was finding it so difficult that I realised I hadn't thought about what was troubling me. And so we had a cup of tea, and he was going, and he sort of said, shall I come along next Friday? And I said, yeah, okay. And I decided, I think then, that I would persevere. And so I sort of tried, and he turned up. And I think he was actually very good, because he never said, oh, well done. He'd just say, what are you going to do next? He always was saying, what are you going to paint next? And then after about 4 or 5 paintings, he'd say, I think you're going to have to get a little bit bigger. You're going to have to learn to paint larger paintings.
Nice.
Which I thought, oh my goodness, it's so difficult filling, just quite a small canvas.
Yeah, I get it.
And then we went and got a load of paints, originally from Hobbycraft, and I became more serious at it. And I was still undergoing considerable stress from the legal situation. So I was getting panic attacks and not able to sleep. And it was very helpful for me to come down in the morning and see my painting from the day before and think about what I could do to improve it, as opposed to what was going on in my life. And I think it grew from there. I sort of, we finally won our case, and I came down to Cornwall, and I eventually went to a course at Newland School of Art.
Oh, I know it. Well, that's where the greats go, Jane.
Oh, is it?
That's where the greatest artists all begin their journey, and
Well,
you're in good company there.
yes, there was a lovely lady called Amanda Hoskin. She paints beautiful paintings.
I know Amanda well. Yeah, I know Amanda.
Yeah, and I was completely out of my depth. Everyone was much better than me, and I found it really quite stressful. I wasn't very well.
It's intimidating sometimes when you go into a class. I know
Yes,
I teach myself and youngsters and adults. It's when you go in, it's daunting, and I remember when I've done classes before and I've seen their legs shaking under the table, and so I get that. But to go into that, especially into Newland School, and work with the greats like Amanda Hoskin, wow, that's incredible. How did that inspire you?
Actually, I found it very stressful the first time, apart from the fact Amanda was so lovely and it was wonderful to see her demos and things. But there were aspects that I thought, I'm sitting here on Cape Cornwall and the flies flying into the paint and in the wind, and I'm too old to do this. And
Absolutely not.
I found it quite difficult. But I then went to a still life course there for 4 days with a guy called John Duran.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. He taught you the sort of basics of colour and the grey scale of, sort of how you get contrast in your paintings and things. It was a very good academic foundation. I think the course is called Painting with Oils.
Perfect.
And I loved it. I think I learned quite a bit from it. So I sort of persevered. And I went back and did a second one with Amanda, and I was a little bit better. Then I discovered the Cornwall School of Art, which is just north of Truro, and I did 3 two-day sessions with a lovely artist called Jennifer Aitken.
Yes.
And that was stressful. You get there and she demonstrates for half an hour or an hour, and then you're sort of left on your own.
You're left to your own devices then to create.
And you've got about sort of 5 hours to paint like crazy. And but I found it really helpful, and I started doing some seascapes and found that I enjoyed it. And I just eventually, it was slow to start with because the results weren't so good, but eventually I found myself painting a lot more.
Wow.
And so it sort of became almost like a default thing. Also, my husband wasn't well, so we couldn't do things that we used to do. Yeah, so
it shaped your confidence, Jane, with art and your artistic development. And that alone is so inspiring, what you've done. And what was it like working with the National Maritime Museum? Could you describe how they've taken on your exhibition?
Oh, it was just amazing. They approached me not last year, the year before, sort of March, April time. They had heard my story and were sort of impressed by it and asked if they could come and look at my paintings. And I was so surprised. I actually just said, "You've got to be joking."
Oh, you've worked for this, Jane.
And so they came up and had a look and said what they want to do. So it was nice for me because I knew I had it in the background to work towards. And that was nice because I just continued to paint because my life now became... Obviously, there's other things going on, but
yeah, I understand.
On free afternoons, I would paint, and of course, then eventually I had to go through the process of framing all the paintings.
Oh, I feel your pain, Jane. I feel your pain. I've been there.
but the support from the museum when it finally started to come closer to the event was absolutely amazing. The director, Richard Doughty, was so supportive and encouraging. And when I actually saw the 2 weeks leading up to the exhibition was an amazing experience. They had a couple of guys there erecting all the paintings, and I think they had a designer in there called Park Design, PARC, I think.
Yeah, they're based in St Austell, I believe. Yeah,
yes,
I know them, yeah.
They were amazing. How they designed it. They blew up. They made a beautiful wall panel. They blew up one of my paintings, which we decided to use as a signature painting. And a very good photographer came and took some photos of me painting on my balcony here in Falmouth. A guy called Ian Cross, and I couldn't believe what they did, really. There were two guys there working with laser levels, which I found fascinating. And they wrote my story. They interviewed me. They made a film. There's a short film there where there's an interview with me, and I'm telling my story and painting on my balcony. And I was just amazed, actually.
Your story is just incredible, like in every way. And I've done exhibitions, and the nerves I feel from the minute I'm getting things framed up, but it's the presenting the whole exhibition itself I find nerve-wracking, and then to do interviews and public speaking. And I'm just in awe of you that this is your first round of exhibitions, and it's taken off. One, because you're just the loveliest human, and that you're so super talented, and you've worked with the best already. And this journey you're on, I'm so excited for your future in the art world, because you now I salute you because you're now a professional artist. But I feel like you've always, is this your destiny, that you've always meant to be in the public and share your story? And it's funny how things map out, isn't it? But
well, I didn't expect it. No, I didn't map that out at all.
But it's unbelievable. And like when you was at school, when you was like as a youngster, was you ever drawn into, pardon the pun, was you ever drawn into the artistic journey, the artistic world?
I went to a very academic school. I was good at my lessons. I like piano. I like piano.
Amazing.
I was a keen pianist. I did all my grades, grade 8 when I was 12, which I know is quite a good achievement in the piano at that time. And I used to do the odd competition, and I think I realized, much as I loved it, I hadn't got the guts to be a concert pianist because you have to memorize so much music, and it is terribly difficult to perform and things. And the school was academic. They pushed us into science subjects, which probably wasn't my best. I would have been happier doing art subjects, and it was kind of frowned on. It was not fashionable at the time to do it.
Yeah, I get it. I get that.
People were we didn't get any careers advice in those days. We're talking about late 60s, early 70s, and no careers advice at all. And just the thing, oh, well, if you do that, you may be good at that subject, but there's no, you'll only end up being a teacher or something like that. And not really good encouragement. And I found myself doing science A-levels, chemistry, double maths, biology and things. And they weren't really what I wanted to do. And, I ended up doing a pharmacy course at Bath University, and I became a hospital pharmacist.
Wow.
And I really didn't like it. I was unhappy. And I eventually sort of walked away from it. I worked in a sort of arty background in the studios in London as a stylist, collecting props for a really good still life photographer, because I really kind of.
So you've got an eye, Jane. You've got an eye for art, I believe, and art in the family.
No, I didn't have much family, to be honest.
You're a savant. That's what you are, Jane. You're a natural artist.
Yes. No, I'm not. I'm not aware of it. No, I don't think so.
Oh my God. Well, Jane, so your exhibition goes on to the 19th of April, I believe.
Yes, that's correct, yes.
And like I said, I'm going down this weekend. I think this is going to go massive, Jane, your exhibition. It already has, and a lot of people can relate to your story. And my final question, lovely Jane, is what next in your arty journey and in the art world? Are we going to expect another exhibition? Because I think you should.
That's very, very nice of you. I haven't really thought. I just wondered whether possibly, Newlyn run a professional landscape course over a year, and I'm sort of toying with the idea of doing it really as a challenge as opposed to anything else. because I thought, well, I might feel a bit flat after the exhibition's over, and
It takes it out of you.
yes, it would be a challenge. I haven't made a final decision about that.
Watch this space. That's what I say. You are an artist on everybody's lips at the moment, and I think this is gonna take you sky high, and you're just the loveliest person to talk to, Jane. You're so approachable. And I just want to say thank you so much, Jane, for giving us, me and Tom, your time today and the Chaos listeners, because it's an inspirational story, and you should definitely write a book and have a film done about you.
Well, there's a short film in the Maritime Museum.
We're going to have to get some Hollywood star to play you, Jane.
Yeah, ITV had me on their news one night, which
I saw it. I saw that. Yeah, you came across lovely.
Well, thank you.
Amazing and absolutely inspirational, Jane. And I just want to say a massive thank you from myself and the lovely Tom.
NEWSWAVE.
A fun, free, interactive physical activity game comes to Cornwall this month, having already engaged more than 2 million people across the country. From March the 25th until May the 6th, both St Austell and Penzance will be transformed into giant real-life games as Beat the Streets arrives in the Duchy. To tell us more about how it works and how you can get involved, we're joined by Tim Marrion, Partnership Manager for Children, Young People and Families at Active Cornwall.
NEWSWAVE.
Hello, Tim. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well. Hi all. Yeah, nice to be on.
Good. Look, it's a pleasure to have you on Chaos Radio today, Tim. I suppose let's start with the bigger picture. For anyone hearing about this for the first time, what is Beat the Street and what makes it so exciting for Cornwall?
Yeah, it's really exciting, and it's actually the first time that Beat the Street has been delivered in Cornwall, and the first time nationally it's been delivered in 2 different places. So we're going to turn St Austell and Penzance into 2 massive games. We're installing over 50 different beach boxes in each different places. So there'll be these beat boxes positioned around Penzance and St Austell, and the idea is you get a little card or you download the app and you go around and tap in at the different locations. So we're trying to get everybody to get out and about during those 6 weeks, that 25th of March onwards, and just explore the place that they live. For those people that live in and around Penzance and St Austell, get out and explore it, see those wonderful green and blue open spaces, and go and really enjoy those places, experience them, take part in the game. You can earn points, so there's a little incentives along the way. If they kind of clock in, they can get certain points. If they can get mum and dad to clock in as well, and the whole family takes part in the game, then they can be part of a leaderboard either at their local school or in a community organisation, or just compete for a local charity, or just be part of it as a family. You can enter it as a family unit and just get out and get involved. It should be really good.
Brilliant. So these beat boxes are going to start popping up around both St Austell and Penzance, both towns, really soon. So just you touched upon it there, but can you just talk us through how the game actually works and how people score points? Where might we find some of these beat boxes?
So to start with, ideally, people will register with it to play the game. You can register through the app, or you can physically get a card, and then you can go onto the website and register. So we're asking people to check out activecornwall.org, go onto that website where you can see about Beat the Streets. That will take you through to the website where you can register for the game, and then you can join a community. So you can be part of a school team if you're a child, or you can be part of a family unit, or if you go to the local youth club, you can join and be part of the local youth group from there. And when you've got your card, or if you've got the app, during those 6 weeks, you can get out and about. There'll be a map, and you can download the map, or school children are going to get given hard copies of the local map, and they can get out. And these beat boxes, as I said, 50 in each of these towns, and can go and explore, really. They're going to be in the local green spaces, the local parks. They'll be on transport networks. We're putting them outside the schools so school children could tap in. We're trying to encourage children to walk to school and then tap in on the walk to school, or walk home from school with mum or dad, whoever picks them up, and tap in from there. So we're trying to put them everywhere and connect them up to understand how people really travel around the place that they live. And there'll be a pre-survey, so we want participants to tell us a little bit about themselves, and then a post-survey where they tell us a little bit about any change maybe that was created in the 6 weeks and how they find it playing the game as well. So lots of funds, lots of kind of hidden gems as well. Each town has got a hidden gem where we've hidden little places where they can tap in that they don't know about until they stumble across it. So don't just find the beat boxes on the maps, explore around and see if you can find a hidden gem as well, and get yourself incentives as we move from there. So there's different little things to keep people engaged throughout the 6 weeks.
It sounds, we use that word exciting. There is so much energy around this, isn't there? We want people to go out and see as much of their local areas as possible. And it really is inclusive, isn't it? You talked about families, individuals, workplaces we might see taking advantage of this. Schools, everyone can get involved. And the sign-up process is really simple and easy as well.
Really, really easy. It doesn't cost anything. You get the card, you get the map, and go out there. We really want to get children to encourage granny, granddad, nana, whatever you call them, to get out and play the game with you as well. And can we get as many people moving for those 6 weeks as possible, really, and seeing what's on their doorstep? For us, it is how do we connect people with local nature? How do we connect them with those spaces that they've got in their town, and really celebrate all that is good about Penzance and St Austell as well, and understand what amazing places they've got to go and visit. And each of the 6 weeks has got a theme as well. So we might have certain events that we put on during those 6 weeks. And we want people to go and engage in those events, whether they're open days at the leisure centre or free swimming, or in St Austell Eden Project are going to be offering a free event to go to the Eden Project and things like that. So week 1 is all about go play, go out and play, understand how the beatboxes work, where they are. Week 2, go and explore. So we might want to go and explore some of the local historical landmarks around the place as well, and go and explore them. Week 3 is all about go travel. So maybe you might want to go a little bit further than where you normally go and travel a little bit further, see how the kind of transport networks connecting Cornwall and where you can do around that. Week 4 is about go wild. So we're looking to get people out into those wild and open spaces as well to go and explore them. Week 5 is go active. So we're looking to work with the leisure centres that are in both of those towns as well to put things on to specifically get active. And then week 6, right at the end, is all about go celebrate. And we really want people to celebrate what they've achieved. We know the schools are going to be putting on lots of celebrations or events, and recognising those children and families that engage throughout the whole of the 6-week period. So yeah, it's pretty jam-packed and pretty exciting.
Yeah, I can imagine you're quite busy getting ready to deliver this. More than 2 million people have already been positively impacted by this initiative around the country. But you're right, this is the first time this is coming to Cornwall. Have we got any idea of some of the benefits that we might have seen up and down the country with sort of the previous initiatives that have taken place around Beat the Street?
Yeah, we've seen some great. Beat the Streets themselves. So Beat the Street is through a company called Intelligent Health, and they're really into the kind of health data and how the kind of change that this program makes. So for us, that's really great. If we can get some individual behaviour change, so if we can actually reduce levels of inactivity during that 6-week period, that would be amazing. And that's something we definitely want to do. And we know Beat the Street has got evidence that it can do as well. But more importantly, if we can really start to understand the communities and the people that live in these places, then that's really where we want to get, is to really understand where do they visit, how do they move, where do they go, all of those type of things during this 6-week period. How do they interact with some of the spaces where we put the boxes? And if they can tell us about that in the pre and post survey, then that might help us with additional resource and investment, and just looking to change the place to be a more active place. How do we create movement into people's daily routines? And that's exactly what we're looking to do with this program, from really understanding, knowing that yes, we've got 6 weeks of the game and it's going to be great fun, but post that, how do we then make people still embed movement and still go to the park and still engage in this, or still maybe just walk to school or park the car a little bit further away from school and do those last few steps by walking and being a little bit more mobile, which is where we're trying to come from.
Yeah, that word legacy is so important, isn't it? We don't want people just to engage with this for 6 weeks and think, whoa, what a brilliant idea, and then sort of slip into old habits, or maybe forget how much benefit and how much positivity they got from, I don't know, like you said, those extra yards to school or work that they were walking, maybe a new place that they've gone to explore and visit. And that brings me on to my next question, because you mentioned the Eden Project and a couple of other different places there. This is a huge collaboration, isn't it?
It is a huge collaboration. Yeah, we've on purposely made sure that we've got a lot of people involved in this program. So we're working very much with neighbourhood health teams. We're working with the doctors' surgeries. We're working with school. We're working very much with Healthy Cornwall and Cornwall Council's transport team as well that have invested in this to really understand where this goes. Bupa are putting some investment in this through the Eden Project as well. So we've got lots of partners all coming together that really see the value of what this is, and it's going to be great fun in getting everybody playing the game and taking part, and then telling us all about it afterwards, telling us some of the great things, and also tell us some of the not so great things, some of the things that they realised, you know what, when we did that Go Explore in week 2 and we did explore that green space, maybe if the lighting was improved or if there was a bench for my granny to sit down on, we'd go and visit it a little bit more. And if they can tell us that, then we might be able to create that sustainable infrastructure change going forward, which is where we want to come from to, as I said, to make both of these towns just a little bit more active.
For people listening in either area, or maybe one of the areas that wasn't chosen, why is a project like Beat the Street such a good fit for Penzance and St Austell? Why not other areas? What did you identify?
Yeah, so we've done lots of work to realise, do you know what? We need to test and learn in certain places before we can look to roll something out elsewhere. We would love to have the resource and the capacity to roll Beat the Streets out in every town in Cornwall, but realistically that's not the case. So can we do it in 2 places which we felt were ready to engage, really good local community cohesion and connection and partners willing to engage in these 2 places, but also knowing that they're 2 places that struggle, I say struggle, but have got coastal and rural inequality. And we know actually we want to support that, and we want to put these things in. How can we connect the Clays to St Austell within that area as well? How can we connect the beach and the wonderful coastline in Penzance with people that live in the town? And there's some things we want to explore and learn a little bit more. And if we can learn about those coastal inequalities and what it's like to live in a coastal town in Penzance, then we might be able to take that and take that learning into another place to move forward. So we've got to try somewhere. It doesn't mean we're not doing stuff everywhere. We're very much as Active Cornwall working across the whole of Cornwall, and we've got lots of interventions and programs and support we're doing with stakeholders across the whole of Cornwall. But let's dive a little bit deeper in these places where we know inequalities are a little bit greater, and let's get some learning from that. See if we can look to tweak the system a little bit, and then let's share that elsewhere. And again, wider than Cornwall, can we share that across the southwest, across the whole of the country, to ultimately is what we want to do as we work through the investment we get from Sport England to make England a more active country.
Alan, we know here in Cornwall there's a massive pride of place, isn't there? And this is the first time that we've seen this initiative rolled out in 2 communities at the same time. I wonder if we're going to see a bit of competition between the 2 towns, maybe a bit of local pride. Penzance is better, no, St Austell's better. We might see a few little bits of competition between the 2 towns.
We might well do, and that would be interesting, wouldn't it? And I think that's we talk about motivation and what is the motivation of people, and that might be the motivation. It might be the motivation that people need to engage in it, and just that connection and to the place they live, and that identity is huge. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting, and really exciting as well to compare the learning between the 2 towns. So actually, very kind of obviously in Cornwall, St Austell a little bit bigger, but actually very different in how they are and how people interact with the town itself. So be great. I'm really excited to get that learning back from it across both of those places to go. And what do we really know now in how these 2 places are different, but also very much kind of enjoyed by the people that live there themselves, and let them continue to do that. Again, Beat the Streets is going to be very much about celebrating what both these towns have got and the amazing assets that they've got for their communities, which would be really good.
Yeah, we're going to see some unique elements in both areas, some shared maybe challenges as well, so there's so much to learn. Just before we let you go, could you just remind us again where to find the maps, pick up a card, join a team, download the app, all that kind of thing, just to reiterate that message for people?
Yeah, so we're making it really clear. Land at activecornwall.org. So www.activecornwall.org. Land there. You'll see Beat the Streets as a top news story on our homepage there. Go to that. Have a little read of the blog that's on there. That will take you to the Beat the Street website where you can register. It will take you to be able to a visual of the maps, not just a maps where the beat boxes are, but a map of where the distribution points are for the cards. So kids want that little card in it, something that they can keep and they can register. So you'll find out where the distribution points. Again, every school is going to be sent cards, I say every school, majority of the schools in both places are going to be sent cards for all of their children, and then there'll be distribution points as well for other children and adults to engage. This is about connecting every generation. Can we get that 3 generations in a family playing the game? The children, the parents, the grandparents. Let's all engage and get out there and just explore where you live, and let's tap in on routes, which will be amazing.
Brilliant. Tim, thank you so much for joining us here on Chaos. Before we let you go, is there anything you'd like to add or anything we haven't touched upon that you think's important for people to hear?
Just that importance of moving more, really. I think the key thing for us is we just think, where can you fit activity into your daily routine? Don't think you've got to do more. Where can you embed moving a little bit more in your daily routine?
Perfect.
Simple.
Perfect. Simple as that. Right, we are super excited about this. That was Tim Marrion from Active Cornwall there, talking to us about Beat the Street, which comes to both St Austell and Penzance from March the 25th through to May the 6th. If you'd like to get involved, maybe find your nearest card pickup point or explore the full map of beatbox locations, get involved in the fun, head to activecornwall.org for all the details.
NEWSWAVE.
Right, you're listening to NEWSWAVE here on Chaos Radio with me, Tom Howe. St Austell Table Tennis Club joined clubs across the country earlier this week in a national effort to hit 100,000 rallies. The events were held to mark 50 days until the World Team Table Tennis Championships return to England this May. I visited the club's Learning Disability Ultra League, where I met Amanda Leonard of Table Tennis England to find out more.
NEWSWAVE.
So first of all, could I ask you to introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your role as well, please?
Yeah, so I'm Amanda Leonard and I work for Table Tennis England, and I am the National Programmes and Partnerships Manager. So part of my role is just to make sure there is as many table tennis opportunities out there as possible and get as many people playing at any point in time as possible, and then working with as many different organisations to really maximise the benefits of table tennis. And this is one of the sessions that I've worked in partnership with MenCap and with the local club Craig to set up.
Wonderful. And we're here today for a really special reason, part of a record attempt. Can you tell me a little bit about what's going on, please?
Yes, so this is the world's greatest rally. There are table tennis rallies going on all over the country. We've got activity in London, we've got activity in Leeds, Manchester, and it's everything from small local groups, recreational groups like this playing, to massive clubs that play at the top end and the national side of things. And we've been lucky to attract quite a lot of media attention, both locally and nationally, which was one of our goals. And the rally has been set 50 days out to the World Championships, which England are hosting for the first time in 100 years. So it's a centenary World Championships, and they'll be happening in Wembley in May. It's a real opportunity to promote the benefits of table tennis to the wider community as well. That's the great thing about table tennis. It's as inclusive as any sport can be, and I always say you can play around the dining room table with grandma, or you can play on an Olympic stage, and there's not many sports that you can do that. And I think St Austell particularly really exemplifies as that inclusive part of table tennis. I know Craig, who leads St Austell Table Tennis Club, is a firm believer that the club should reflect the community, the whole community, and that's the really sporty people who want to be really competitive, play in the league and in national tournaments, right to people that just want to have a bat and chat, or a little bit of a social side of things, and just do it for health or just for social reasons.
I think you can hear in the background, any of our listeners tuning in can hear how much excitement there is going on in these sessions. And that's just it, isn't it? They've identified that there was a number of people who perhaps didn't have opportunities to do things like this. They've gone and created this rather unique learning disability sessions here at the Leisure Centre.
Yes, absolutely. So in our society in the UK, sport isn't as easily available to everybody, and there are barriers to participation. At Table Tennis England, we're absolutely committed to levelling the table, which is our strategy to look at how can we reduce all those barriers and get as many people playing as possible. Some of the barriers might be financial, they might be transport. So in a county like Cornwall, transports are a really big issue, and rural isolation's a big issue that we need to think about. This session, the club could have just sat in its home venue, sat and waited for people to come to it, but they didn't do that. They reached out, they run pop-ups in the town centre, they've got satellite activities going on in the likes of Mevagissey Village Hall. They've run after-school clubs up at Brannel. They've just grabbed as many people as they possibly can. But for adults with a learning disability, which the Ultra League here is aimed at, transport was a big issue, and their home venue would have been a mile and a half walk. And so we've worked really closely with the leisure centre here, Better Leisure, to put on these table tennis sessions right in the heart of St Austell, which means that the participants can walk to it. And just by doing that simple thing, we've managed to get around 30 participants regularly taking part.
Yeah, they're so well attended, so well received as well. We always love being invited down to these sessions. So what's the target today around the country then? Is it a certain amount of rallies? Is there records to be broken? What exactly are we trying to achieve?
Well, we're aiming for 100,000 rallies.
Just 100,000.
Just 100,000, and we've done the maths on it, and we think it's possible. So yeah, we're aiming for 100,000. But the main goal is just to reach out and tell people what an exciting sport table tennis is, and just to promote all of the local opportunities as well. So people can maybe see it or hear it on the radio and go, I would love to take part in that. Where's my local club? And on the website, we've got a directory called Places to Play. You just put your postcode in it, and then all the opportunities, including free to play table tennis, is there. So we're really lucky in Cornwall. The likes of Trillissic Gardens has a free to use table tennis table just set in the woods there a little bit. So we're just saying there's so many different environments. I know at the Cornwall County Council they've got 2 outside tables there within their quadrangle that you could just take your bat and play, or pick up a bat there, or you can book at a leisure centre. So so many opportunities.
Come and give it a go. It looks wonderful, isn't it? I've had a bit of a go with some of the people here as well. It's harder than it looks to master. It's very inclusive to pick up and to pick up and do it. But these guys have been doing it a lot longer than me, and made me look a bit silly, if I'm honest.
I know there's a big difference between when you move into sort of the more technical side of the game, and then suddenly people are putting spin on, top spin, back spin, and and I think some of that side of the sport really engages the children and young people. They'll see somebody a little bit better than them doing a serve, and they'll see it swerve around an obstacle or stop dead and bounce back, and they'll really want to do that. I come to this session only once every couple of months, and you see the improvements in people. And I came to the last session and spent the whole time with someone who it was their first experience, and at the start of the session they were not able really to hold the bat properly, but we were doing loads of work around hand-eye coordination, moving the ball across your body, dropping it, picking it up, and just all these things make a big difference to people. And again, that's the great thing about table tennis, is that regardless of your ability, you can always get better. And I think it's quite addictive in that way, in that you see someone else doing something, you think, I want to get better. So here we've just heard, I think one table started and maybe they were just doing one and it wasn't hardly a rally, and then suddenly they got to 6 in a matter of just 10 minutes practice, and that's a real achievement. And again, that's what I love about the sport, is that people can achieve what they want to achieve.
Absolutely. I'm going to pick your brains for that website now, if you can remember it, for people to any of our listeners who might be interested. Where wherever they are in their lives, whatever journey they're on, where can they find this local club? Perhaps it's St Austell's their local club, but if they're listening from further afield.
Yeah, so it's on the Table Tennis England website, but even if you just put in Google table tennis places to play, you will get an interactive map up, and it will tell you not just where you can play, but the type of environment it is. So whether that's a free-to-play table at one of our ping hubs or a club, you'll be able to find out. I would just encourage people to give it a go.
NEWSWAVE.
Right, keeping with the sporty theme, Mad Hatter Sports Events is a Cornish company that puts on fun, friendly and seriously challenging events right across Cornwall throughout the spring and summer. They're gearing up for an action-packed 2026 season, and owner John Yelland popped in to tell Cheryl Gordon what they've got up their sleeve.
NEWSWAVE.
We are a sports events company based in St Austell, and we are centred around open water swimming and running. And our events are, I would like to say, challenging, competitive, but fun. And we create an atmosphere with all of our events, so it's not just about being competitive. Anybody can come and have a go. We try and put on the toughest events we can in the most beautiful places we can, but yeah, it's all about having fun and experience and finishing, whereas a lot of events aren't. So that's what we're about.
It's almost sort of making that a challenge, and then for someone to personally make that a challenge and complete them and think, oh, actually, I really love that. I want to do another one.
Absolutely. I mean, we give everybody that finishes a high five, whether they're first or last. The last person over the line at all of our events gets an award, most racing award. So it isn't just about those 2 or 3 people that are at the front that are winning. It's everybody, because everybody's facing their own challenges. Whether you've taken an hour to do it or 3 hours to do it, some may say that the person that's taken 3 hours has actually put more effort in and worked harder for longer.
So you host a whole range of events throughout the year. What are the key ones coming up next?
Yeah, so we run 9 events through the year. So actually we do events. We've got 9 events, which we'll hopefully talk about in a minute. We do open water sea swim safaris, which aren't events. They are guided swims around the best locations we can find in Cornwall. We do a load of those. We also do 2 trips to Croatia a year as well, training camp. But in terms of the events, our first event is the Polcaris Aquathlon on the 3rd of May, closely followed by the Hokey Cokey in Charlestown swim run. So those are our first 2 events, but we've got 9 across the year: aquathlons, running, swim runs, swims, open water swims. So lots of events, lots of opportunities to come and get involved.
And what more would you want than a beautiful place like Polcaris and Charlestown? I mean, Charlestown is particularly sort of a place where people will know it iconically for films and TV programmes. Doctor Who, yes. Now you're talking. Yeah. Now you're talking.
Yeah, it's beautiful down there. And the Hokey Cokey is particularly beautiful because you've got 100-odd people running around in bibs, different coloured bibs, green, orange and blue bibs. They look like starbursts running around. But people are like, oh, what's going on? And it's really cool to see. We'd love to do it, actually, in Regatta Week, because the number of people down there would be great to do. But we have spoken to them a couple of times about it, but whether it'll actually ever happen, I don't know.
Perseverance is the key all around, isn't it, really? Now, when you're planning your calendar, how do new events and ideas come about? What inspires them?
So I walk my dogs a lot. I've got 2 boxer dogs and I go out and walk them, and I tend to let one of the dogs, male dog, Stanley, lead. So if he gets to a junction, he turns left, we go left. And then all of a sudden you'll find somewhere and you'll go, do you know what? This would be a great location for a race. And that's where the inspiration comes from in a lot of these things, is you go somewhere walking the dogs and you look at something and you go, that would be epic for a race. I could put so many races on because I've got so many ideas about what events could happen. But in Cornwall, there's actually a lot of events going on all the time, especially in the summer. So it's very difficult to try and plan your calendar around other events without it clashing with something else. But yeah, so that's how they come about. You see a perfect little bit of coastline and you think, that'd be great. The other side of it, you kind of go, well, we'd love to organise a 10-kilometre swim. That's a marathon in swimming, so it's the equivalent of doing a marathon. So you are looking for locations where you could do that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You've got to have the right locations. So there are some stunning areas which you could use, but there's no infrastructure, there's no parking, there's no cafe because everybody wants a coffee and a bacon sandwich afterwards. So all these things come into play when you're organising and looking at it. So yeah, it's quite intense.
Out of all the events you run, is there one that stands out as a personal favourite so far?
So I've got 2. My favourite event is Hourglass. So that's a running only event held at the Royal Cornwall Showground. So you've got half an hour to do 2 miles, and every 2 miles the time limit reduces by a minute. So you have to get faster the further you go. I love that because we get to see the whole event, and we drive around with the runners as they're running around playing music, giving them jelly babies and having a chat with them, and then it really grows into a spectacle at the end, because the guys that are winning it, very impressive what they're achieving. So you get to cheer them on, and it's different to most other events you see, because you never see the winners win. They say go, and the winners, the people that would win, have gone and finished and gone home normally by the time you finish. I finish anyway. So in this race, because it's last man standing, last person standing, you get to actually see them racing and cheer them on and encourage them and then see them win. So that's really good. I love that event. My other event that I love is we no longer do. It's a swim run. So it started at Port Scatho and finished at Mevagissey. So it came through here, and that event is a true endurance event. So 36 kilometres total distance with 10 kilometres of swimming, and just watching people do that, putting that on, because it was always a dream of ours to put something like that on, and we did it. Unfortunately, there isn't the number of people doing that kind of event at that distance to continue to put it on at the moment. So we've put it on the shelf for a few years. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll grow. The swimrun community in the UK will grow, and we'll get more people doing it, and we can maybe bring it back. But yeah, that was a stunning event.
Particularly cold water swimming is becoming more and more a thing now.
Yeah.
And people are sort of doing it all year round. Do you find that sometimes leads people to doing the work that you do?
Yeah, so when I first started swimming, which was about 2012, I started open water swimming because I'd entered an event. There was no one doing it, very few people doing it. Now you go to Porthpean on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning, it's rammed full of people doing it. And it's great, everybody's doing their own thing. There's a bit of a thing between swimmers and dippers, but as long as you're in the water doing something, that's all good. I'm a swimmer. I've always got a wetsuit on all year round because I'm a wimp. But yeah, so hopefully, those people do that and they get into that, and then they go, do you know what? I'd like to do an event. So yeah, it's a great lead-in. We do social swims on a Saturday morning, every Saturday morning. So at the moment, there's a group of about 15 of us that go every Saturday, and we go somewhere different every Saturday to go and swim. Part of me thinks we should have charged for that. We don't. It's all free. It's all about going for coffee and cake afterwards, really. But that's a great lead-in to event. The amount of people that have come and done some social swims with us and then gone on to do one or multiple events has been really good. So if you charge for that in the first place, they probably wouldn't have come, and therefore, but there's a lot of people, I got a lot of people that message me and go, I really want to get into open water swimming and doing this kind of stuff, and what's the best thing to do? I wait till summer normally is the answer, because this time of year it's very chilly.
Yeah, I think you have to put an element of safety on that, spin on that, just by listening to this interview now, don't feel that you should run out and go into the sea, because it can be quite dangerous.
Yeah.
There are many factors contributing to that. You can look at the sea conditions, you've got to look at the temperature of the water. Literally, you don't want to shock yourself into something. You've got to do it very steady, haven't you?
Carefully. Yeah, go to the right places. Places like Porthpean, in St Austell Bay is a great place because there's always people around. Normally pretty placid. There's very little currents, very few waves, unless there's a storm or something. So pick the right place, tell someone what you're doing, and just get into it easily. Try and join a club. There's a lot of clubs now that are swimming, but it depends on what you're wanting to do. A lot of people don't swim with us because they think we're all super serious swimmers. We couldn't be less serious if we tried. Just join a club, find the right people, and it's an amazing thing to be doing. Although this time of year, on a Saturday morning, I do question my sanity when I'm about to get in the water.
Yeah, I think I would. And I'm the one that gets up at silly o'clock in the morning, let alone anything else. How could people get involved with that with you?
So we're on social media. We've got a website, but social media, Instagram, Facebook, probably the best ways of contacting us. If you want to come and do a social swim, message me and I'll tell you where we're going and where to meet. Tend to ask whether people are wetsuit or skins, because skin swimmers, non-wetsuit swimmers, this time of year, it can be quite challenging. And we're most of the group that I go with are wetsuit swimmers. But yeah, we'll ask you a little bit about what you want to try and achieve. But if you come along for the first time, second time, we'll look after you. It's not like we'll swim off and leave you. We'll always look after someone. But message us on social media. Hopefully, if you're close enough, we can get you involved. We've got a website, madhatsportsevents.co.uk. All of our events are listed on there. Our social swims aren't, but all of our events and training camps, that's all listed on there. So pop along to there, and that's where you can find out what we're doing.
NEWSWAVE.
Okay, that's all we've got time for on this week's edition of NewsWave. A big Chaos Radio thank you to local artist Jane Southern, to Tim Marrion from Active Cornwall, Amanda Leonard at Table Tennis England, and Mad Hatter Sports Events' own John Yelland. And as ever, a final thank you to you for listening and helping support local journalism to thrive. To catch up on all our coverage, as well as to check out our extensive back catalogue of interviews and shows, do head on over to chaos.radio. And remember, if you have a local news story that you'd like to share with us, email news@chaos.radio or search Chaos Radio UK across socials. That's it then, you're up to date here on Chaos. I'm Tom Howe. Thank you so much for listening. Whatever it is that you're doing in your community this week, as I always say, be sure to add just a little bit of chaos.
NewsWave.
Chaos.radio. Music, podcasts, entertainment.